Alright, so in this video I'm going to be talking about the current situation within the Republican Party with Donald Trump winning or going to be winning the New Hampshire primary. We've seen the recent polls. It is a complete blowout, even with Nikki Haley getting exactly what she wanted, the one-on-one matchup, hopefully for her, consolidating all the never Trump vote. It doesn't matter. You can see the recent ones, not including DeSantis, Christie, and Ramaswamy, with Trump plus 22, and then plus 18. That's with DeSantis included there at the bottom. Take him out. Trump will go up and probably win this state by over 20. And the big question is going to be tonight, will Nikki Haley drop out, when it gets read that Trump has won, possibly by a massive margin? It's real interesting, if this was a normal primary with no charges hanging over Trump's head, I think for sure Nikki Haley would drop out, similar to what Vivek Ramaswamy did with Iowa, kind of announcing at around 11 o'clock after it becomes known this was really her chance, getting the independents in, an open primary, getting some Democrats crossing over to vote in this. But obviously Republicans want Trump. That is the reality. Even if you break it down to a 1v1 situation, it doesn't matter. And I think, again, if this was a normal situation where Trump doesn't have any charges, like it's 2016, 1000% she drops out. There is not a way forward for her, at least without help from the courts, and that's what could cause her to stay in this race. Now, let's say she drops out and something comes out against Trump to where he gets a federal charge. Would that change things? We've actually got a very interesting poll that I wanted to show. Let me see if I could find it. You can see these are several different hypothetical polls on if Trump is convicted of crimes related to his handling of classified president documents. Who would you vote for? Trump's still +6. It's not going to affect anything because you could just say, well, Biden had a bunch in his garage. You could kind of do a comparison there, and people just don't care that much about that stuff, to be honest. Take a look at the second question. If Trump is convicted by a jury for the charges, the racketeering charge is trying to influence the 2020 election in Georgia. That's the one coming up in March. That's the court date. That's right around Super Tuesday. Who would you vote for? You can see people kind of going back. This is the Democrats' really their little secret weapon that they're going to try and pull because Biden is polling so bad. They can't remove Biden because of the dynamics within the Democratic Party. The only way they'd be able to remove Biden, and I'll do a separate video on this, is if they propped up Michelle Obama, because Kamala Harris is in the way. You can't replace Biden with a white male because that would be a terrible look for their party, and they're obsessed with sex. They're obsessed with race. If you replace, or if you jump Kamala Harris, a minority female, with Gavin Newsom, a white male, it's a horrible look in terms of optics. That's why I think Michelle Obama would be the only person, and why Michelle Obama has catapulted above Gavin Newsom in terms of the betting odds, and you're seeing story after story starting to ponder whether or not Michelle Obama is going to run. There's still only like a 8 or 9% chance according to the betting odds, but I'm just saying we're seeing movement there, and I'm going to do a separate video on it. But I wanted to get this Nikki Haley thing out now. But you can see there is a bit of a difference. Trump goes to only +2 if he gets the racketeering charges in Georgia. I think a lot of that is going to fall on people under Trump, like Rudy Giuliani. But either way, moving on to the third one, if Trump is convicted for inciting the Capitol riots in January 6th, you can see Biden goes to +4. Now, obviously, January 6th is completely ridiculous. When it comes to courts, you've got to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Trump incited them. And actually, if you're going to charge Trump with inciting violence on January 6th, Twitter, before Elon Musk, should actually also be charged with doing it, because Trump put out a statement, a video tweet, right when January 6th was happening, telling the supporters to be peaceful, and Twitter censored Trump and took it down. So you would have to actually charge Twitter if your argument is that Trump somehow, listen, I'm not going to go through the whole January 6th thing, but I don't see show me a video where Trump says, you would think if Trump is this terrible fascist and he's trying to stay in the White House, in a completely undemocratic way, he's got his supporters there. Why didn't he tell them to fight for him? They were there, they were ready. He actually told them to stand down, and Twitter censored the video. So that just, the January 6th thing never made any sense. I don't know if you guys remember the monkey kangaroo January 6th committee, where they started to have live committees at 8 o'clock at night to try and get maximum primetime viewership. You want to talk about a charade? Who buys that? That's just so pathetic. And they're all Democrats. The committee is filled with Democrats. It's all biased. It's just pathetic. I mean, why not have a group of independent people? Forget Democrats, forget Republicans. If you want to be fair about it, like, this whole thing is so dumb. Like you're supposed to be some ruler over, oh, if Trump's guilty or not. You're a Democrat and you hate Trump. Why would I care what you say? You're biased. It's just so ridiculous to me. So when it comes to this stuff, obviously, it's going to have some type of impact, whether it's 2 or 3 points. That's huge in terms of an election, especially when it comes to the Rust Belt states, to the swing states. If you think that Biden crushed Trump in 2020, you do not understand how the Electoral College works. That was an election that was decided by about 50,000 votes in about 4 swing states. It was extremely close. And this is obviously going to have some type of impact if Trump gets charged. Now, if you're Nikki Haley, what is the strategy? Do you stay in the race and kind of run just kind of a budget campaign to where you understand that, look, if nothing comes out of these charges, if Trump is cleared, or if maybe it's just like a little thing, a little charge, you know you have zero chance of winning against Trump. It's not going to happen. But if something happens in the courts, do you say, listen, there's only one candidate left. It's me. Why not just stay in? We're not going to spend much money. We know we have zero chance against Trump if nothing comes out in terms of his legal situation. But in case something happens, we're the only ones left. I do wonder, though, what if Trump goes to jail? What if something happens? Obviously, that's a nightmare scenario for Republicans. If you are the Democrats, the dream thing would be Trump going to jail, being bullheaded, still trying to run for president from jail, and the establishment Republicans propping up Nikki Haley and saying to vote for her, and then you have a completely split Republican Party with a lot of the establishment voting for Nikki Haley, saying it's completely ridiculous to vote for Trump because of his charges, and all of the MAGA base still voting for Trump and standing with him because they think the charges are completely ridiculous. That is the dream scenario for liberals. I don't think that has a high chance of happening. I'm just saying, and if you are Nikki Haley, you have to think, well, maybe I should just stay in and almost, run some type of budget campaign to where I barely even have to do any events or anything like that. I know there's no way I'm beating Trump legitimately, but what if something comes out in terms of these cases? Should I stay in the race? Or will it even matter? Does it even matter if you drop out? If something happens, would they still prop Nikki Haley up even after she drops out if something comes out against Trump? I'm not sure, but I'm just saying her staying in the race would only be because she's expecting some type of or anticipating some type of potential charge against Trump in related to this racketeering or January 6th. I don't know what's going on with the January 6th stuff right now. Obviously, it seems like from those polls, it would have a bigger impact than the Georgia trial. But either way, when it comes to this situation in a normal year, like if we were talking 2016, Trump enters politics, they have nothing on him, Nikki Haley would be dropping out tonight. This is completely ridiculous. This is the one state where she kind of had a chance, and she's going to lose by over 20 points. This is not, there is no path for her ahead unless something happens with Trump in terms of his legal situation. That's what I'm trying to get across here. So we will see if she does end up dropping out, or maybe she goes to run a little budget campaign and says, oh, I'm going to stay in. Of course, she's being advised by people. She's getting told what to do. She is the establishment choice over DeSantis. DeSantis ends up dropping out and just endorsing Trump because he sees the writing on the wall. There are other establishment Republican senators who have already endorsed Trump, even though they don't like him, because they also see the writing on the wall. And will Nikki Haley say, you know what, it is what it is. There's just too big of a base at this point. Even with the open primary, if I'm losing that by over 20 points, there's no way any of those Super Tuesday states I'm going to have any type of chance. And this is what the establishment wanted. They wanted a 1v1 matchup to consolidate that vote. But it's been so bad that even DeSantis is dropping out and endorsing Trump, and the DeSantis vote, which they thought could have consolidated for Haley, is going to Donald Trump as well. So at this point, Trump is in full control in terms of the primaries. He is going to win New Hampshire. I saw the betting. It was at a 99.1% or whatever for Trump, or those were the odds. So yeah, go ahead and bet $1 on Trump to win New Hampshire tonight. You'll win 1 cent. I think that's what it is, or something like that. It's just ridiculous. I mean, a few days ago, before DeSantis dropped out, Trump was at around a 68, 69% chance, but this is how quickly it changes in politics. With DeSantis dropping out and endorsing Trump, the writing on the wall is clear, and it's going to galvanize Trump supporters and give him even more momentum going into this open primary in New Hampshire, at which point Trump will win again. And you would expect in a normal year, Nikki Haley, there is no path forward for her, but she may decide to say, you know what, maybe if I stay in and something happens to Trump, I could be the default pick because I'm the only one in the race. Theoretically, that might be a strategy she decides to deploy, or at least her donors tell her to do it. Either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.